impressions of War Within so far. It's good. I think that's the general consensus across the community, and I don't really disagree. I'm currently in Hall of Fall. I've been mainly doing the main story quest, but I've been doing some of the side quests as well as they align with what I'm doing in the main story quest, and it's frankly some of the best story WoW's had in a couple expansions, in my opinion. It feels a lot more directed than the last couple of expansions, and I think some of that comes down to the fact that the main story has a through line in each of the zones. You're not reaching a zone and going off to do a zone specific aspect of the main story. You kind of are, but it's not like Legion where you are off hunting a MacGuffin in each zone. It is just this through line that happens to take you to each of the zones and happens to take place, parts of it take place in each of the zones, but they're not really zone dependent in the same way that some of the previous expansions were. And that helps it have much more of a forward momentum, which is a really great feeling because sometimes the main story quests can feel a little disjointed or they feel like they can bog down in places. And I think another thing that helps that is in this one, I feel like they've taken some of the quests that would have kind of bogged it down a bit and they've shifted them off to be side quests. And so that has made the main story quest very lean and very, fast paced and has a sense of urgency to it, which really helps with the feeling that there's a real threat. And that's great because that goes well with the story that they're trying to tell right now. And I hope that they can carry that forward. It'll be really interesting to see how that feels when we get into patch content. Because obviously there's going to be breaks in between each patch. And so we're going to get this more episodic delivery of the story. So it's going to be interesting to see how it feels, where they leave us off with the story when we get those breaks. They've said they want to maintain that 8-week patch cadence, so that's definitely going to help. But not all of those patches are probably going to push the main story forward. As they've said, the next main patch is going to be the anniversary patch, and I don't think that's really going to be pushing the main story forward at all. As I said, the side quests, some of the quests I think that would have been originally in the main story have been shifted off to side quests. All of the side quests I've done so far have been really good, and some of them have been absolutely stellar, possibly some of the best in the game. There's one in particular that I did in the Isle of Dorn that actually made me fairly emotional, and in a way that I don't think I've really been before in WoW. So props to whoever did that quest line. I'm not going to spoil anything now, but it is part of the quests to unlock the Earth and allied race, I believe. So anybody who's doing that will definitely encounter that quest chain. I really like the work that they're doing with Xal'atath so far. Xal'atath has obviously been a character that's been around for a little while, and they've been building her up. But they're doing a really good job of establishing her as a threat and as something that we should care about, which has obviously been a problem in some previous expansions. That is not something I'm worried about here. I look forward to seeing what they do with her in the future. I think they are also setting up a number of things for future expansions, which lots of interviews saying that they're working on all three of these kind of concurrently. So I expect to see lots of breadcrumbs and things pointing at overarching story points that are going to be, going forward into future expansions. Obviously, haven't finished the main story yet, so looking forward to see how that resolves, what the payoff is, how they leave us hanging, and every expansion is great when it first launches. So I'm holding judgment to see how these patches roll out. But based off of what we have, I'm very optimistic, especially since they did a good job with the 8 week patch cadence and Dragonflight. I think they can maintain that. The team is much larger than it was pre-Dragonflight. I think that they can likely maintain this pace and quality, especially because there's a lot of lead time on some of these. So, they're already working on the next 2 expansions, so I think we can expect a continued this level of quality to be carried forward. Anyway, that's all I really have for now. I encourage those of you who are holding off to maybe give it a try, especially if you already have a subscription because you're playing Classic or Season Discovery or whatever. But if you're somebody who hasn't played in a while and you're wondering if you should come back or not, I would say come back and give it a try. It's some of the best WoW that I've played in a while. And the world is gorgeous. The races are far more developed. There's a whole quest line where you're working with the kobolds, and the amount of development of the kobolds as a race is really incredible. At the Earthen, the development of them is just phenomenal as well. There's just the races feel so much more fully realized than I think I've ever seen them be in the game before. And as somebody who loves world building, that's phenomenal. I love it. So give it a try, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below.